Mississauga? Mississauga? Mississauga?
We will not tolerate any form of intimidation or harassment directed at people.
Tonight, Mississauga First Nation in Ontario had to shut down its band office after some of its members were upset over settlement payout discussions.
And those are people who come directly from the street. They might not have any income, they might not have any ID, and we provide them with those services in order to get them housed.
A first-of-its-kind housing and shelter facility opened its doors in Alberta.
Our culture, our language, our ways of life, and we're connected by family, as we're seeing here today.
And a gateway to Greenland and the reconnecting of two very similar cultures.
Good evening, I'm Chris Anashkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. Two First Nations in Manitoba are mourning the loss of its community members following a tragic head-on vehicle collision on Highway 6. It happened on Monday afternoon when Grand Rapids RCMP located a head-on collision between an SUV and a minivan on the highway. A 23-year-old female SUV passenger from Mississauga Cree Nation was pronounced dead on the scene. A 42-year-old female minivan passenger from Mississauga Cree Nation was taken to hospital where she later died of her injuries. The drivers of both vehicles and the other passengers sustained non-life-threatening injuries. After the RCMP reopened the highway following a 7-hour closure, a 33-year-old man from the pod died, and another 36-year-old man was injured in a second collision on Highway 6. RCMP say the other collision happened after the man's car battery died while waiting for the highway to reopen, and another vehicle hit them from behind. On Facebook, the Mississauga Cree Nation identified the 23-year-old woman as Maribel Yetman. The mother of three was described as a beautiful, bright spirit by those who knew her. The chief of the Mississauga First Nation in Ontario is speaking out after alleged threats were made by some members of the First Nation following the decision to distribute each band member $125,000 from the Robinson-Huron Treaty Settlement.
Any form of intimidation or harassment directed at people. We urge community members to report any incidents of harassment.
In a video posted to the First Nations social media page late last week, Chief Brent Niganoabi said they had to make the difficult decision to cancel its meeting and temporarily close the band office and all non-essential services on July 31st until August 6th. All staff worked from home remotely and security was increased. The decision was made after a small number of people made alleged threats towards staff and band members. Police also notified Chief and Counsel of an individual who wanted to seize control of the band office, confiscate all documents and electronics, and forcibly remove counsel from the building.
Recently, we witnessed this disturbing behavior of an individual within our community regarding verbal aggression at the women's shelter, inappropriate interaction with our youth, and unwelcome intrusion into an elder's home. These actions are unacceptable and deeply concerning.
A total of $10 billion will be distributed to 23 First Nations. There is ongoing discussions in how to distribute the funds to its members. Chief Niganoabi admits some band members have expressed their opinions on how to distribute the money, with discussions getting heated at times. The federal government announced today a 10-year, $12 million study to look at the health effects of people living in communities near the Athabasca oil sands in Alberta. The study will look for higher rates of cancer and other health issues resulting from living downstream of the oil sands. Members from Fort Chipewyan say they have already experienced higher rates of cancer. The study will attempt to find the cause of the increased health problems and find solutions. Leaders from the Athabasca, Chipewyan, and Mikisew Cree Nations and the Fort Chipewyan Métis Nation have all endorsed this type of study, which they've been demanding for decades. The nonprofit Niganon Housing Ventures in Edmonton held its grand opening of its 8th property that offers housing to Indigenous people in need. This facility is called Pimatsuin, which means life in Cree. It's the first of its kind in Alberta to offer both supportive housing and support shelters in one location. Niganon has housed over 600 people since opening their first property in 2014. Their motto is kindness, honesty, sharing, and strength. And practicing ceremony is an essential part of what they do.
In the tower, we have 54 supportive units, and those are for those that are deemed hardest to house, can't be housed anywhere else. And then in the back area, we have 6 enhanced care suites, and those are for folks that are currently in acute care, and they're only in acute care because they have nowhere else to go, and they might have been in acute care for years. And so we provide them again with our loving, caring support and make sure that their needs are being met. And then we also have 55 Indigenous-led emergency shelter spaces, and those are people who come directly from the street. They might not have any income, they might not have any ID, and we provide them with those services in order to get them housed.
Once the housing worker is assigned to you, they will help you get housing. They can help you with medical, funding, whatever you need. Basically, they provide every which you need in every which way. If you want to get sober, that's fine. If you don't want to, and if you still want to, if you're still stuck in that cycle, you're welcome to stay that way. It doesn't matter. You take as long as you need. There's no time limit. You just come as you are.
The Inuit in Nunavut can now visit the Inuit in Greenland with a direct flight from Iqaluit to Greenland's capital, Nuuk. It's the first direct route connecting the two cities in 10 years.
Our culture, our language, our ways of life, and we're connected by family, as we're seeing here today. And it's an incredible honor to be able to witness and see the first of many to come in terms of rekindling that strong relationship we do have with each other.
Travelers can board the 2-hour flight across the Atlantic Ocean with Air Greenland every Wednesday from June until late October. The seasonal flights may expand based on demand. The route comes out of a 2022 agreement signed by Nunavut and Greenland to increase the sharing of culture, education, and mobility. Inuit in both locations are connected through shared ancestors who migrated through the Arctic with similarities in language and cuisine. Air Greenland's partnership is with Inuit-owned airline Canadian North. Travelers can also board same-day connecting flights to or from Montreal, Ottawa, and Kuujjuaq through Iqaluit's airport. 2 Saskatchewan-based Indigenous media production companies are being tapped for some new funding. Plus, the Canadian Media Fund has recently announced the Indigenous productions they will fund for this year. 2 Saskatchewan-based production companies were among the funded projects. Video journalist Rachel May met with key members from both shows.
Seeing my grandkids start to grow, and I wanted something on APTN that would reflect their voices.
On August 1st, the Canadian Media Fund announced an investment of over $8 million that will go towards 15 Indigenous productions. Saskatchewan is home to 2 of the production companies. One of them is the popular kids' TV show Chums that airs on APTN. Director Dennis Jackson from Peter Ballantine Cree Nation says the show is inspired by family.
You submit and you hope and you wish, and because there's so many applicants applying to get funding for different stories.
One of Jackson's grandchildren plays Ira the Eaglet, a chum who often uses teamwork to help others.
I just hope people are inspired by the stories. They are from a cultural place. I'm Cree myself, and they're stories for everyone.
Chums received $750,000 to produce season 3 beginning in November. Red River Gold, a show about a group of Métis treasure seekers that also airs on APTN, received just over $450,000 for their next season. Lori Gagne, also known as Goldie, a treasure hunter, is excited to return to the field after hearing about the funding.
I am beyond excited. I wasn't, when we had filmed the demo, I guess I didn't want to be disappointed. So I never saw season 1 happening, So then to hear about a season 2, this is a dream come true.
Gagne says that the most rewarding part of treasure hunting is reuniting people with their sentimental belongings. She recalls a hunt where a man lost a gold bracelet from his late son 25 years before. Finding it made the hunt even more meaningful.
And we started our search, and within 5 minutes, we found the gold nugget bracelet. Now, his reaction, I have a hard time not even crying, just because this meant so much to him. And we were able to help him out and return that bracelet.
No details have been released yet about the upcoming season. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Thank you, Rachel. Shakespeare's controversial play about colonialism, The Tempest, is getting a new twist. It's focusing on 2 characters, but has been reinterpreted using Mi'kmaq culture and their worldview. Angel Moore reports.
I might call him a thing. This is a dress rehearsal for Madunach, Mi'kmaq for storm. It's an adaptation of William Shakespeare's play, The Tempest. 16 members of the Sipekne'katik First Nation had a hand in its creation.
But in reality, what's happening is you're reconnecting with your identity and culture, and you're building self-confidence.
That's co-producer Richard Tyler. He says Mi'kmaq culture is part of every aspect of the play, including building a Mi'kmaq lodge for the set.
And when that happens, it turns into something else that's not acting anymore. And it's not about theater anymore. And now it's more about culture and identity and placement within community, placement within family, and all of these sorts of dynamics.
The Tempest was written in the early 17th century when England began colonizing North America. Madunach focuses on 2 characters, Caleb and Ariel, and the colonization of an island. Eva Sack plays Sebastian, one of the European characters. Sack says one scene where alcohol is used to take advantage of Caleb was emotional.
I think that it for sure just shows that us as Mi'kmaq people, we never had any of that, and then they bring that over, and it's just kind of like, whoa, like it really took a hold on my people, and it ended up turning a lot of our people into alcoholism and had no ways to cope, and it trickled down to generations, and I know who we blame for that.
Emerald Paul plays King Alonzo and says including Mi'kmaq culture helps her deal with the triggering parts of the play.
The directors were very, they were very concerned. They wanted to make sure that with some of the images that are going to be playing in the play, if it was going to trigger us, or, he wanted to make sure that we could take on the role without being triggered and having an episode or anything like that. So
Xavier Taylor plays Caliban, an Indigenous character. He reflects on Shakespeare's impression of Indigenous people at that time.
In the play, you can see its age. You can see straight through to when the play was written and the colonial writing that went into it.
The outdoor theater production is a collaboration with a Halifax theater company called Zupa. Ben Stone is its co-artistic director.
It's something certainly that we want to do as part of the reconciliation and action, creating shows with Indigenous communities, with Mi'kmaq communities.
The play includes Mi'kmaq song and dance.
Even with the music, I've heard the music my whole life, but now I'm actually learning the words to those songs, so it's quite important, and I wish I had learned it sooner.
With rehearsals wrapping up, Tyler hopes the play brings healing to the cast and audience and an understanding of the impacts of colonialism.
The human being that you are at the end of by the end of this particular experience, will hopefully be one that has a greater understanding of self. That's the goal. So that when you walk away, there's an amount of confidence that not just I can stand up and do things, I know who I am.
Madunach runs August 14th to the 25th, nightly at the Sibäganagadi Newtown Trail. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Sibäganagadi First Nation in Nova Scotia.
Thank you, Angel. For many years, Papikasi's Cree Nation in Saskatchewan has looked outside of their community for assistance when a member of their nation dies. Now they are deciding to take control over their funeral arrangements by building their own funeral home. It will be a place which will accommodate all the needs as well as the needs of their neighbors and beyond. CTV's Mick Fable has more.
Just off this highway, near the hamlet of Lorley, will one day stand a unique venue from a local First Nation. Papikasis Cree Nation will soon be joining a small number of Indigenous communities in Canada when they open their very own funeral home.
This funeral home is going to be more First Nation sensitive and culturally sensitive, meaning that, you know, we have the smudging ceremonies, protocols for First Nations will be utilized in this area, so which is, you know, good for us, as we never get to send off our loved ones in a good spiritual manner.
For many years, funerals on Papikasis were conducted by outside businesses. Now they plan to take control of their own funerals and keep their funds within the nation. The community has a variety of belief systems. The new funeral home is being built to not only accommodate the nation's beliefs, but the surrounding areas as well, including other First Nations.
Be really inclusive of everyone. You know, if you're into smudging, you know, you can come to this facility and smudge and send your loved one off in the right way. Or, you know, if you're not into smudging or non-religious, you know, we still want you to be able to come use this facility and be satisfied and celebrate your loved one's journey in life.
In recent years, life has been going well on Papikasis Cree Nation with their various business ventures. The building of a new funeral home is another step in the nation's journey to sovereignty.
Things are looking really good for our people, and sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming. I talked to one of my counselors this morning. He's kind of overwhelmed with the whole big idea of what's going on. He said, "Are we ready for this? This is going to be big for us. Are we ready for that?" I said, "We got to go forward. The old people would want us to go forward."
Construction for the new funeral home will begin in the spring of 2025 as soon as the ground has thawed.
And that story was by CTV's Mick Fable. Time for a break now. When we come back, we'll take you to the Treaty 5 Summit in Lower Fort Garry National Historic Site outside of Winnipeg. That story in less than 3 minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. This is the Doss Glacier along the coast of Alaska. Daniel Christensen was able to see it just last week with his family, and it's located south of Juneau near the Canadian border. A big thank you to Daniel for sending that picture in. Send your pictures to share at aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast.
Over on the east, St. John's 21, Charlottetown 25. Nain 12, Cartwright 11. Saguenay 24, Gasp 24. Toronto 24, Sault Ste. Marie 25. Timmins 23, Thunder Bay 16. Thompson 21, Churchill 17. Gimli 16, Dauphin 17. Regina 20, North Battleford 22. Larange 22, Uranium City 25. High Level 27, Peace River 25. Calgary 20, Medicine Hat 22. 33 in Penticton, 30 in Bella Coola. 32 in Smithers, Dees Lake 30. Whitehorse 29, Dawson 30. Yellowknife 22, Wati 29. Inuvik 34, Sax Harbor 15. Baker Lake 27, Cambridge Bay 21. And the Iqaluit 11, Aglulik 22.
The Treaty 5 Summit continues this week at the Lower Fort Garry National Historic Site outside of Winnipeg. T.R. Wheatley attended the event today where a lot of the talk had to do with agricultural benefit settlements, a topic that seems to be on the minds of many nationwide.
That's my goal for Treaty 5 nations.
Hundreds gather inside this tent. It's the annual Treaty 5 Summit. Jennifer Flett of Opaskwayak in northern Manitoba is one of 2 MCs here. She also helped start this gathering in 2018.
There's over 40 First Nations that belong to Treaty 5. It's one of the biggest land masses for treaty territory. And at the time, there was no voice for anything that happened on the treaty territory.
Flett said this event was created so grassroots people could understand their rights as treaty holders. While Indigenous sovereignty is a strong focus here, the discussion of agricultural benefit settlement claims is a hot topic here and nationwide right now, more commonly known as cows and plows. Flett said a lot of the discussion this week is around payouts.
Why are we getting one final payment and that's it? There's a lot of people that wonder, is this not something that should be continuing because it is part of the treaty? So there's a lot of discussion on where we're going to go from here.
Rennie Chaboyer is the chief of Cumberland House in northern Saskatchewan, where they recently accepted an offer from the government for 2 separate agricultural claims.
Cows and plows goes to the nation first. It's the nation's money, not the people's money. But for me, with my nation, we have 2 claims, and we're prepared to pay X amount to each member with the understanding that the bigger claim that's coming will go into trust so that it will grow.
There's mixed feelings when it comes to who should receive the benefits, the band or the people. So far in Canada, 39 First Nations have settled their agricultural benefits, including the community that Summit co-host Ashley Collingbull is from in the Treaty 4 territory.
I got my cows and plows. I was like, Enoch got their cows and plows.
Collingbull, who recently won Miss Universe Canada, said she's grateful her community voted to put some money back into a trust that will be used for infrastructure and services in Enoch.
My nation personally has taken an amount back to be given back to my nation for progressive things and for economic development, just to help us. And I think that is what is needed too. Like, we need as much resources as we possibly can, and sometimes it's up to us to give us ourselves those resources. We can't depend on the government to save us.
A sentiment shared by Suzanne McKay of Barons River.
But personally, I would like to see it both ways. I'd like to see the membership benefit from it, and then I would like to see our communities prosper from it as well.
Canoon-Jaystagon First Nation Chief Tony Travers says his community filed its claim in early June and are awaiting for an official response from the Crown. He said they've been advised of their preliminary options.
On the high end, it's $65,000 per person, and on the lower end, it's $15,000 per person. It depends on location.
But cows and plows isn't on everyone's mind here either.
What is cows and plows?
I guess there's no talks of cows and plows in Sandy Lake.
No.
Manoy Kizik is here from a fly-in community in northwestern Ontario, where he says their treaty fights tend to be about mining and natural resources.
We have our mining. We have the lithium company that is just outside our area, and that too will affect our way of life.
A way of life that's been impacted for many here, and reasons why Flett says this summit is needed.
We're building towards a government
to work together as long as the sun shines and the rivers flow. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Thank you, TR. And that's your evening APTN National Newscast. We will be back again tomorrow for your midday newscast with more stories. Make sure to join us then. From everyone at APTN National News, Masicho, Hai Hai Miigwech. Thank you for watching.